What's up, you guys? Before I get to the comments, all right, I'm not gonna do what I did the last time with Kell Brook and Errol Spence. There was a lot of comments that were said over and over again. You know, a lot of people have the same thoughts on this fight. They share the same opinions on the outcomes, the scorecards. I'm gonna get into all of that. I just typed out the few key points that people kept bringing up that I kept hearing, not only in my comments, but that I've heard since the fight. All right, so I'm gonna bring up some of those points, but most of these things were said in my own comments. All right, but before I get into all that, listen. I appreciate you guys leaving the comments that you leave. You're going to get your one or two knuckleheads, your rotten apples. I don't really care about those people. You got to have your one or two fanboys. You got to have one or two of those, it's all about race. The black man this, the white guys that, these black channels is doing these, this white. You're going to get you're going to get those. All right, I'm not really worried about those. I'm not worried about the fanboys that come in here and say Triple G is the greatest of all time. I'm not worried about those guys. Those are the people that I ignore. I'm strictly here about talking about the fight itself. That's what I'm here. We're gonna break down this fight. Okay, we're not gonna have revenge on Daniel Jacobs because Andre Ward won against Kovalev. We're not doing that over here. That's not what we do. Okay, or at least that's not what I do. All right, I'm not doing that. I appreciate the comments you leave. You know why? Because I was going through the comments. I replied to most of the comments, and that's why I'm not gonna read each and every comment, because I actually sat down while I was at work today, and when I got some time, I went on here and I try to reply to every single comment that was left on the videos. All right, so I appreciate the comments you guys left. You guys were leaving scorecards on the comments. You guys were leaving rounds. You guys were bringing great points, great arguments. Even half of you disagreed with what I said, but we respect each other's opinions. We're supposed to trade thoughts and challenge each other on why this fight, which was a very close fight, why Jacobs won the fight, why Triple G won the fight. Okay, I've heard so many different opinions. And most of the scorecards, believe it or not, most of the scorecards, I had it 114, 113 Jacobs. All right, most of the people that I've heard that said Jacobs won had it 114 to 113 Jacobs. A lot of people that had Triple G winning had 114, 113 Triple G. It was a close fight. I've heard a few 115, 112 Triple Gs. I've heard a few, but the majority of these guys that's coming in my comments are like, listen, I don't agree with you. This is how I saw it. And that's it. Ain't nobody, all the other extra drama that's going on in the boxing community all over, not just YouTube, but all this extra drama that's going on is unnecessary. Let's talk about the fight. I felt like when I did the prediction, I laid the foundation for this fight. I said, look, we got two good guys here. Two classy guys. All right? They both are good fighters. They're both the best each has ever faced on their resume. And regardless of the outcome, we should be getting a good fight. That's it. We have two guys. Neither one of them need to be hated for nothing. Yeah, there's fanboys. Yeah, Triple G has fanboys. But am I gonna hate Triple G because of what some stupid fan says? That's annoying. That's annoying. And I hate when people do that with Andre Ward. I hate when I'm an Andre Ward fan, but I hate when people come on here and say crazy stuff. Because remember, back in the day, back when all the Ward stuff started, people were saying that Ward was ducking Triple G in the very, very beginning. That's what people were saying. And then people were saying that Triple G was ducking him. Now we're gonna put out the facts. We're gonna talk about the interviews and the inconsistencies of what these boxers say. We could all go back and forth with that, but it got crazy. It got out of hand. We had Floyd Mayweather against Manny Pacquiao. Everybody was picking a side on that one. All right, but at least for the majority of us, we were comparing resumes between those two. Okay, we was talking about the drug test. We were talking about a whole bunch of stuff that had nothing to do with race and all that stuff. Some of it was influence, but it wasn't strictly based on that. We were at least talking about this is what Manny Pacquiao got this speed. Floyd hasn't fought anybody as fast as Pacquiao in a while. What is he gonna do about that? And on Floyd's hands, like Floyd, his boxing skills. He's a superior boxer. We were actually we was actually breaking down the actual skills. And then when that was over, it went straight down. And then when the Povetkin Wilder thing happened, everything went crazy. It went crazy on here. And nobody was consistent. Nobody's been consistent since that. It's all race now. And yes, I believe, and I made videos. I said race influenced a lot of people's opinions when it came to those drug tests and everything. And I brought that to the table. I brought that to the forefront. But everything since then has been everybody's picked the side since then, and we can't even give good breakdowns. A lot of people can't. I say it's we, but I'm not talking about myself. But I feel like a lot of people can't even give a good, thorough boxing breakdown anymore, or a review of a fight without going into all the bullshit that has nothing to do but with the actual fight. And I'm getting tired of it. But you know what? It's cool because I don't really watch too many people's videos that much no more. I really personally, I don't do it. I just stick to what I see. I come on here and say it. I go back and forth with the people that leave comments, like good comments, and I make, response videos even to the comments now. That's all I can do. I can just do what I can do. But I just want to say I appreciate you guys leaving good comments. I just get annoyed sometimes because I hate when some of the commenters come to my channel and they're hearing stuff from other people's channels and they bring it to my channel. And I'm just like, dude, we not even doing that over here. Leave that over there, If that's what y'all do that over there. We talking about the fight. We talking about what we seen on TV. We're not sitting here talking about all the politics and all that, through the whole shit, and we got to get away. I don't know, people got off track. We need to get back to talking about the actual fight. What did you see in the fight? What did you see? Not all this other stuff. All right. When it comes into play, we deal with racism and the politics. We deal with that stuff on a case by case basis. When this actually happened, we bring it up, but we're not going to force it into every single conversation. Right? So I just had to make that clear because I was reading the comments today and I was like, you know what? I like the comments people are leaving on my channel. They're actually talking about the fight. Read the comments to my post-fight video. Read the comments on my recent videos. People are actually going in there and giving thorough breakdowns in the comments. Straight up. I don't care. I read every single one of them. I don't care how long they are. Sometimes they're like a page long. I'll read the whole comment. I don't care. All right? So what I did, I wrote a list because I didn't want to forget anything. I wrote a list of like the major points that I've been hearing since the fight. I seen the fights 2 times. All right. I didn't want, since I watched it twice, I watched it most of it yesterday when I was giving you guys a review. Let's just talk about, let me start off with talking about rounds 1 and 2. A couple of the guys that left comments, it was a couple people. And not only that, but just reading based on what people were saying. I think the conflict in this fight is rounds 1 and 2. I gave both to Jacobs. I think most people gave 3. See, I thought most people gave 3 to Golovkin. But then I started seeing a few people give it to Jacobs, which I thought was kind of strange. I thought Golovkin clearly won the 3rd round. But that's how it is. I thought 1 and 2 were filling out rounds. Some of the people that left comments were saying that they thought Golovkin's jab is what was controlling those first 2 rounds. Okay? I gave both to Jacobs. I thought Jacobs was in control of the first 2 rounds. So we can split it. We can split it. I don't know. But I gave Jacobs the first 2 rounds. But I think that is the major conflict because if you have it 114, 113 for Golovkin, I'm sure the Golovkin people at least picked one of those 2 rounds, or if not both, on their scorecard. But those are filling out rounds. Those really are. You can actually 10-10 both of those rounds. You know, I haven't gone back. I'm not going to go back and watch it again because I watched the fight twice already. And I don't want to turn this into a Tim Bradley, Manny Pacquiao one where I had to go. I watched that fight like 5-6 times before trying to figure out who was going to win the rematch in that fight. You know, because now, if I go back and watch it now, I'm going to watch it as, okay, how can I give Golovkin this round? I already saw it twice and gave Jacobs the round. Now I'm looking for a reason to give Golovkin a round. And then I'm going to come back here and just tell you, oh, I switched up. I don't want to do that, you know. But I see the conflict and the most debatable rounds that I've seen so far is rounds 1 and 2. I see a lot of people give both of those to Jacobs, and I've seen a lot of people give one of those rounds to Golovkin out of those 2. And then I've seen a lot of rounds 3, 4, and 5 to Golovkin. All right. So, and then at the end, the very last few comments that people have been leaving scorecards, I've seen some Jacobs people give round 3 to Jacobs. You know, I didn't give round 3 to Jacobs. I thought that was the round that Golovkin clearly won. I thought obviously he clearly won the 4th round. And to me, I thought Golovkin won 5th round too. All right, so that's one of the key things that we could bring up. All right, you know, the scorecards, I already talked about that. 114, 113, either way. I still seen a few 115, 112 Golovkin people, which is what the judges scored for Golovkin as well. All right. I mean, listen, if you gave it to 115, 112, I'm going to assume you gave him the first 2 rounds maybe, you know, on top of, you know, those other rounds, you know, like the ones that we most of us think 3, 4, and 5. I think most people say 6, 7, 8 Jacobs. Some might have thrown or gave Golovkin one of those 3 rounds. Okay. I had it round 9 for Jacobs. No, for Golovkin. And I had Golovkin round 12. I think just about everybody gave Golovkin round 12. But I gave 10 or 11 to Jacobs. All right. But, all right, moving on from that. Danny Jacobs. A lot of people were bringing up him going up to 168. This is how I feel about it. I don't think 168 is the most pound-for-pound rated. Like, I think the best of the 168 division, I don't see anyone at 168 being a pound-for-pound fighter. So when people keep saying move up for Danny or Triple G or whoever's at 160, I just don't think it's that deep up there. You know, Battle Jack, who's been doing pretty well, he's about to move up to 175. You got James DeGale still there at 168. So I'm assuming that we can all agree that James DeGale is probably that got the best resume there. You know, he's probably the best at 168. You know, I think he'll be a tough fight for both Danny Jacobs and Triple G. You know, regardless of how you see the fight ending, I think he's a tough fight. You know, regardless of how you see it. But me personally, this is how I feel. All right, because I have high respect. You know, I slept on Jacobs twice. All right, and I'm a big fan. I just didn't think he was going to take Quillen. All right, being honest, I didn't think he was going to do it. I didn't think he was going to do it against Triple G. I mean, technically he lost, but I thought he edged the fight. I didn't expect him to do that well. I thought one of them was going to get knocked out, and I picked Jacobs to be the one to get knocked out. Right? So Jacobs, I'm you know, as much of a fan as I was already, I'm a huge fan, and not only that, I have a big whole new level of respect for him. All right, I think he's very, really talented, and he had a great game plan. He executed it well. I still think he needed to do a little bit more, especially like in that 12th round. I think he needed to secure that 12th round to at least, you know, hopefully get the win. You know, I mean, it might have not still been enough anyway, but that's just how I felt when those 12 rounds was over and we didn't hear the judges' scorecards yet. All right, we didn't hear the decision yet. All right, but this is how I feel about Danny Jacobs. I personally feel that if he can still make weight and be that big, because he clearly has a size advantage, you know, over these fighters, all right? If he can still make weight and be at 160, stay at 160, all right? Run through these other top dogs in 160. You know, there's still a lot of other good fighters there. And get your rematch, you know? If Triple G goes on to fight Canelo, fight Canelo. See if you can get that fight. You know, if Saunders win or whatever, what happens with that fight with Triple G, fight Saunders. Stick around. I still think like he can do some work at 160. All right. So that's how I feel about Danny Jacobs. All right. If you can still make weight, you're still a bigger guy at 160. You're still one of the hardest hitters at 160. And you're still one of the most skilled at 160. You have the size, you have the talent, you got the power. If you can make weight and stay at 160, I think Jacobs should stay at 160. All right. If he's really struggling, then move up to 168. He would be a good size fighter at 168 because he's a big middleweight. So he would be a good size at 168. But I personally feel like if he can still make it, stay at 160. All right. Now, Canelo Alvarez. This is when all the nonsense started getting crazy. All right. Canelo, everyone is coming out now, especially people that feel like Triple G lost this fight, thinks Canelo is going to smash Gennady Golovkin. All right. Because of that performance. When you say that, right? What are you saying? If you didn't feel like that way before, what are you saying now? Are you saying that he struggled against a not so good fighter? All right, this is what I brought up before as far as Jacobs exposing Triple G. The word expose. All right. Are you saying that Canelo would have beat Jacobs that night? Jacobs came in with he had a great team behind him. All right. He came in at a huge size, probably bigger than he's ever fought. All right. He had a great team behind him, great game plan. All right. Great strategy in the fight. He landed big shots. He traded with Golovkin at some points. Are you saying that Canelo would have beat him? What are you saying? Is Triple G overrated or is Danny Jacobs really good? Which one is it? You know, because I'm hearing a lot of Triple G got exposed. Triple G is trash. Canelo and Charlo is going to beat him up. I'm hearing that now. So you got to remember, Triple G was still able to knock down Danny Jacobs. Okay. Triple G was still able to hurt him with a few shots in that fight. All right. He was still able to do that. Okay. You got to give the guy some credit. Let's just not act like Jacobs steamrolled through him and there was a huge robbery. No, you got to give Jacob, you got to show Triple G his love too. Like, he fought a big puncher, a bigger guy, a puncher, a skilled fighter. All right, a guy that came with the best game plan of anybody that's ever faced Triple G and did well. You guys don't even realize you're taking the credit away from Danny Jacobs. Because Triple G struggled against him, he's a bum. What are you saying? You're basically saying that Jacobs is really not that good, that Triple G he should have walked through Jacobs. That's what you're basically saying. You're basically saying that Charlo and Canelo would have just walked through Jacobs. Because since Triple G struggled in a fight, he was supposed to struggle in that fight. But you're saying that Canelo and Charlo would have walked right through Jacobs. Canelo and Charlo would have had to fight the same fighter that Triple G just fought. The same big 160 pounder with power, with skills. I don't know if Canelo could beat Jacobs. Could have beat Jacobs that night. I don't even know if Charlo could have beaten Jacobs that night. That night, I already said I don't believe the Quillen knockout was a fluke. That wasn't no fluke. Jacobs went in there to destroy that dude. Regardless of his resume, regardless of how people seen him at 160, including myself, Quillen got destroyed. That was no fluke. Because I thought Triple G was going to knock out Quillin if they had ever fought. Jacobs went in there and proved that, yo, I'm the top dog at... He proved in the Quillin fight, and now he proved in the Triple G fight that outside of Triple G, I'm the top dude at 160. Did we all walk away that fight realizing that? Do we still think there's other guys at 160 that's better than Jacobs? I don't. The most of you guys don't, even the ones that think Triple G won that fight, because a lot of you guys that think Triple G won had it 114, 113. Who else had 114, 113 against Triple G? Even 115, 112. If you gave it 115, 112 Golovkin, who has faced Golovkin and gave him that great of a fight? So you're taking credit away from Danny Jacobs by saying that these other guys would just walk through him. Like, come on, what kind of shit is that, man? Let's knock it off. Let's cut it out already. Like, stop it with all that, man. Y'all destroying, like, we had a good fight. We had a good fight. I didn't pay for the pay-per-view. I went out and watched it, and I'm wishing I paid for the pay-per-view. I could have stayed home and ordered it on TV. Because that card was a good card. It was a good fight. It was good fights. And the main event was a great fight. It was a great fight. It was one of the better fights we got this year. It was way better than Keith Thurman against Danny Garcia. That was way better than that fight. You know? I even liked it better than Broner and Granados. I liked it better than Broner and Granados. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the Jacobs versus Triple G fight. You know? I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the Roman Gonzalez fight too. You know? So you guys got to be careful what you say, you know? Canelo, the thing about Canelo is that when you look at Canelo's resume, right? It's really, really hard to predict what Canelo and Triple G will end like, because Canelo has not faced a true middleweight, okay? He has not faced a true middleweight, all right? You know, he's not fought anyone that has any similar, he is nowhere near similar to Triple G style. There's no one on Canelo's resume that can equal up to Triple G. That's super front foot heavy aggressive with that kind of boxing skills and that kind of power. That's relentless with the jab. There's nobody, the aggressive fighters that he fought were Angulo and James Kirkland. They don't even compare to Triple G. Especially Angulo, because that was the first fight that we saw that Angulo was shot. Angulo was shot in that Canelo fight, and he's been shot ever since. And James Kirkland got knocked out. He got dropped in the first round, got knocked out by the third round. Khan is not like Triple G. Lara is not like Triple G. Austin Trout is not like Triple G. Miguel Cotto is not like Triple G. None of these. Liam Smith is definitely not like Triple G. So when we say Canelo would smash Triple G, well, who did he fight that's anywhere near similar to Triple G? That's a middleweight. Or that's not a middleweight. Period. Who did he fight? I'm not taking away, I'm not discrediting. Canelo got a good resume. I'm not taking away. I'm talking about styles. It's hard to tell because Canelo is not going to be doing what Jacobs did in this fight. Canelo's going to be standing right in front of him trading with Triple G. That fight is going to be right in the middle unless Canelo is fighting on his back foot. We already know Triple G is not fighting on his back foot. We already know Triple G is going to be coming forward. So how can we sit here and predict that Canelo's going to smash him? If that's your opinion, that's cool. But for like 2 years now, we were saying Canelo's ducking Triple G. Now we saying Canelo's going to smash him? Would Canelo have smashed Danny Jacobs? I don't think so. Jamal Charlo. Let's see what he do at 160. Guys move up in weight sometimes, and the power don't carry over. Let's see. Let's wait and see. I know he knocked out J-Rock, all right? I know he knocked out J-Rock. But We don't know how valuable that win is until we see what happens with J-Rock from the rest of his career. If J-Rock goes on and get knocked out 2 or 3 more times within the next 4 years, 3 or 4 years, then we can all just, it's safe to say that J-Rock don't have a chin. J-Rock is talented, but J-Rock's first test was Jamal Charlo. That was his first test. Are we forgetting that Jamal Charlo Austin Trout fight? Are we forgetting that? Are we gonna just forget that fight ever happened? I thought that fight was a draw. And I love Jamal Charlo. I love both of the Charlo twins. Listen, I've been praising the Charlo twins way before anybody on here except Ashley Knuckles, because he knows them personally. Alright? Jamal was one of the first people, Jamel was one of the first people to give me an interview. Alright? But I don't have no reason to discredit Jamal. But what I'm saying is, God, let's wait and see what he do at 160 first. Let's see what he do. You know, I'm expecting him to be just as good, but for him to be like, oh, he's gonna come in and smash Triple G. I mean, he might be able to beat Triple G. Is Jamal Charlo better than what Danny Jacobs was the last couple of fights? I don't know. I don't really know, because Danny Jacobs is extremely underrated. Clearly, he's been underrated for quite some time. He got dropped by Mora. People would think he was going to get dropped. You know, he got stopped by Parole back in the day. But now he's looking like a superstar. So I really don't know. I got to wait and see. Let me see what Charlo does when he moves up. See if he fights someone solid. See if the power is going to go up in weight, which it should. I think he's going to be better at 160. He's way too big for 154. You know, he's way too big. So I think he's going to be better at 154. At 160. But let's wait and see. Let's stop jumping the gun. Like, calm down. Can you guys wait until one fight? That's the point I was making up about Spence. I like Errol Spence. I was the one on here. See, a lot of y'all that subscribe to me remember what I've done. All right, I was the one on here defending Errol Spence like, yo, how y'all hating on Errol Spence but love Triple G? Errol Spence is doing the same thing Triple G is doing. Errol Spence is trashing everybody he fights. I said that a year ago. At least a year ago, I made a video comparing the two of them. How you got love for Triple G and hate Errol Spence? Now, how you love Errol Spence but hate Triple G? You get where I'm going with it? You get where I'm going with it, right? The inconsistencies that we have here. We got to stop that, man. Both are good fighters. Both are doing the same thing. They're knocking out everybody that they face. Errol Spence is doing it. Golovkin has been doing it for a lot longer. All right? The only difference is the color of the skin. You know? I mean, obviously, Triple G fought the better fighters. But at one point, Triple G was fighting the fighters that's on the same level as the fighters that Errol Spence fought. And people were saying Triple G is overrated. But they love Spence. But last year, what did I say? Oh, you guys hating on Spence, but you love Triple G? What do you hate Spence for? Spence don't fight like Floyd. He ain't fighting like Andre Ward. He ain't fighting like Erislandy Lara. No, he's coming for and beating everybody up. How you hate Spence? This is what I said last year. But you guys forgot that. You forgot that. You got emotional because I said Kell Brook. I think Kell Brook is going to take it. I think Kell Brook is going to edge it. It's 50-50, but I think Kell Brook is going to edge it. Guys got mad. That's the problem I'm talking about. Stop being so emotional. Let's pick the fights based on what we see. Stop picking a fight based on all this other stuff. The fanboys, the racist channels. Stop doing that. Like, stay away from me with that. Please, stay away from my channel with that. You're not going to get that here. Ever. You're never going to get it. Alright? I'm in it with this. Some people were saying that, the typical, you have to beat the champ. A lot of people feel like Jacobs didn't really beat the champ. And, if that's your opinion, a lot of people feel that way. I go from a round by round basis. You could say the same argument for Roman Gonzalez, but a lot of people felt like, the Thai fighter beat him, clearly. I don't think so, but, that's the old, way of looking like fights, I think that was created by, I don't know who really created that, maybe the commentators. But, I think, on a different day, on a different night, you never know, different judges, they might have gave it to Jacobs. It was really that close, so, if you look at it that way, then that's cool. I respect that. I respect most of the comments that people left on my channel. You guys leaving great comments. I appreciate it. And I'm gonna end it with this. I appreciate it, man. You guys, I make videos and it's like 2 or 3 of you guys leaving comments like, yo, you got the best channel on here. And I know why they saying that, because it's like a breath of fresh air. I'm gonna give you honest opinions, no bias, none of that, all that drama. You're not gonna get that here. All right. Yeah, you gotta have your people, your few that comes to my comments and leave stupid stuff about, they bring up other channels. You know how many people come to my channel and be like, oh, 78, Dante's, this guy, that guy. I mean, I can't control what they saying, man. I don't, people come to my channel because they hate other channels. I can't control that. They do it. It is what it is. And I listen to both of those channels. They know that. Both Dante and 78 know that. I can't control what somebody else say on my channel. Like, people get mad because what other commenters are saying on my channel. Well, what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say? Because I'm just being myself. I'm not in no group. I'm not in no crew. I come on here and do my own shit. The way I do it. I don't do it like nobody else. I do it like the way I do it. All right? So I can't control what people are saying. I do what I do, and that's it. All right? So I'm going to drop this. There's a few videos I want to do. I do want to speak on Adrian Broner because I never got around to doing that. I definitely expect me to drop a video real soon, maybe within the next couple of days, on Vladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua. I'm going to get into that. All right, because it's time. That's a big fight. It's time for us to get into the heavyweights. I haven't done a heavyweight video in a while. I've been missing a lot of stuff going on in the heavyweight division. So I definitely want to talk about that fight. All right, because that's a hard one to call right now. Especially with Klitschko. It's hard to pick against Klitschko because it's like you want to see a guy do it. Fury stepped up. I ain't going to talk about it. Anyway, I'll holler at y'all on the next one. All right, peace.